Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Moon here from EWPRO. Before I get started, I'd just like to say in the comment section last week on the weekly outlook on the YouTube, we got a lot of comments from some scammer or something. It's got nothing to do with me. So if you get scammed by some comment that's in the weekly outlook, yeah, it's on your head, not mine. I can't control who puts down comments. So yeah, getting that out of the way, get straight into the weekly outlook. So starting with the XY on the daily, we got the 5 down, looking at A, B, C, nothing's changed, and then we're looking for that larger C up, and we'll get it running flat in here. So we're looking for this, we're looking for downside in this internal C down. H4, looking at that WXY, was looking for an X2 and a Z up. We got this 3 up in here. So I was looking at that as an A, B, C for more upside. This is going to be a larger correction though. Really, we're looking for that end of wave. It's got up to that 38.2 on the daily. So we're looking for downside. We're looking for this downside here. Last week, we had this, if you go back last week's video, we're in here somewhere and we're looking for downside down to this 100 fib. It's still looking bearish. We're getting a larger correction in here. So it's still looking bearish. So you can look for sells still. You just have to be careful of this trend line here. Yeah, because we may get another one up. We do have possible, like on this H4, I should have pointed out, like I said last week, we do have this possible bull hidden here. So more than likely, this will give another correction in here, another one down, possibly bouncing off this 100 fib, and then it'll give us that bullish hidden divergence and give us another one up, breaking this top. So if you do get another one down, like you can look to sell this in another correction in here. And then if you get a trend line break, a little bullish setup, well, then you can look to go and break that top. AU on the daily, nothing's changed. This is pretty much playing out exactly how I've been looking at it. We've got a WXY wave wide bounce clean off that 161.8, and then we're looking for an A, B, C in X2, and then we're looking for that Z down. First target 123.6, second target that 161.8. So on the H4, I think we were in here somewhere last week, and I said you can look for that buy up to the 100 fib. Well, we've bounced clean off that 100 fib now. So we've got an A, B, C. We do have bearish divergence here, so start looking for yourselves. On the H1, it's quite difficult still because, again, on the H1, we don't have any bearish divergence. There's no bearish divergence, and we do have a possible bull hidden here. So really, you know, this can just give an A, B, C in here, and then go up and break that top, and then it should be over, because then we'll get that bearish divergence in here. So you'll have to be a little bit careful, but any sell setup I get, I'm looking for the sell for that daily wave Z down. EU on the daily. So this is a little bit different because we're looking for that A, B, C in the B wave, and then we're looking for that C up to that 100 fib before we get an A, B, C. So this one I am looking for upside. Last week on the H4, we're looking at this. We had this nice flag here. Well, on the H1 we were looking for this, but yeah. So we're starting to get another correction in here. So this may be the H4 correction. So we get a W, X, Y, X2, and then a Z up, completing that wave C on the daily before we get more downside. On the H1, it's very choppy. This was the setup here last week. I said you could look for, this was looking really good. It never went. We had that bullish divergence. We had this nice correction here. We don't have any bearish divergence, and we're getting a larger correction now, like I showed on the H4. So more than likely we'll get a H4 correction in here for a W, X, Y, like I showed. So still look for the buy. This is still very much bullish. It's just that it didn't really go. I was expecting more upside on this one, but it's giving a larger correction already. So GU on the daily. So we're looking pretty much the same as the others. We're looking at an A, B, C. This one here has bounced off that 100 fib. So it's already completed it may have completed its structure in here. So this may be the end of wave C and the end of wave B. So we get that A, B, C. So we're looking for downside pretty much. And if you have a look here, we do have bearish hidden divergence here between this top and this top. We do have bearish hidden divergence. So we are looking for this one to go and break that low. On the H4, we're looking for W, X, Y, X2, and then a Z up. So you still can trade that. If you're looking for the buy, you're only looking for the scalp for X, for the Z up or fifth wave, however you look at it. But we need that cross down here. More than likely, hopefully it gives us a little bit more downside, gives us bull hidden divergence here. And then you can look, well, then you can look for, you know, any buy setup you get. Then you can look for that Z up. This may be the end of it, and we don't get a Z up. So again, if you do get a sell setup, you can look for that sell, because we've bounced clean off that 100 fib on the daily. So if you do get a sell setup, you know, you can look for that sell too. But more than likely it will give that bull hidden, and we'll get that Z up completing the wave C on the daily, and then we'll get more downside. NU on the daily. So we're looking at that A. We've got 3 down in here. So we're looking at that as the B wave, and then we get that C up to complete that B wave. And we're looking for that C down. I would have liked, like I said, the last few weeks, you know, I would have liked to see this C down break this low, but it has completed the structure looking at, you know, it has broken this wave A. So technically it is complete. On the H4, I had to look at it as an A, B, C, because this C down on the daily didn't break the low. I have to look at it as an A, B, C in here. And it's nearly got to that 100 fib, your first target. So yeah, in this wave here, we're looking, in the last wave, we're looking at a W, X, Y. So look for that X2 down, back down to this 38.2. And then if you get a correction in here, then a breakout of a trend line, little bullish flag, well, you can look for that Z up. It's too early for me to draw the targets on this, but we are looking for that Z up. So more than likely this will give you a bull hidden in here as well. So you'll get a bull hidden, a lower low on the MACD. UY on the daily. So this, like I've been explaining for a while, we're looking for that A, B, C. The problem we had was we got a large correction in here instead of just an impulse up and a little flag in here to go up to the 100 fib. We got all this in here, which made it a little bit more difficult, but eventually it did go. On the H4, we're looking at that WXY, looking for that X2 down to that 38.2, and then you can look for that Z up. We will get bull hidden here. We do have a bull hidden here already. So this may be internal and you just get like a WXY X2 and a Z up in the wave Y, and then get the larger correction. So you have to be a little bit careful selling this in down to that 38.2. Last week we were looking at this as an extended wave in here. So we're looking at that WXY X2. We had that bull hidden here, so we were looking for this top to be broken. It broke the top and went way past the 123.6 and the 161.8 targets. So that's why we were looking for this like WXY X2 and a Z up last week. Now we have all this bearish divergence. So you can only really look for the sell for this X2 H4. Just be careful, like I showed, we do have that possible bull hidden on the H4. The Swissy on the daily, nothing's changed. On the daily, we're looking at that A, B, C as a larger correction, and then we're looking for that A, B, C. This one bounced clean off the 100 fib in the B wave here, so we're looking for that downside. Looking at the H4, we're looking at this here last week. Look for that sell. It's hit the first target 100 fib and it's going through that. So more than likely we'll get a WXY down to this 161.8 or even further. It may go down to the 200. We don't know where this wave Y will end, but then we'll look at X2 and then a Z down. So look, why this trend line here holds. Why this trend line here holds, you can still look for sells. But yeah, we're looking for this low to be broken. On the H1, it's very choppy and we're getting divergence. So it starts to be risky. You did have a correction in there. You have bull hidden here, so you can look for that short to break that low. You're virtually just scalping on the day on the H1, but on the daily we are looking for that larger C down before we look for the buys. But this may be very choppy. You can see how choppy it is. It's going to be very, it's going to be very risky to be selling by the look of the price action. Unless you get a nice sell setup, I'd just stay out of it. Looking at the CAD on the daily, I'm looking at this. We've taken out that bear hidden, like I showed ages ago, when we went up here. We've taken out that bear hidden. So I'm looking at all this as a correction in here before we get that C up. Now, like I showed last week on the H4, we're looking for that 335 complex correction. So we're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we get that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 335 pattern. We've hit that 161.8 now in the wave Y. So we've got a WXY. We get an X2 in here, and then you can look for that, look for your trend line break, little bear flag, and you can look for that sell on the H1. On the H1 at this stage, there's really nothing. Last week, we were looking at this as the end, and we're looking at this as bullish. Well, as you can see, we never got the break, and it went down and broken the low. Then we got this higher high. I took this in here. I took this trade in here, got break even. It went up and then took me out at break even. I'm in this trade again. I'll show you why I'm in this trade on the M15. I'm in this trade again. Like I said, I took this trade in here and come back, took me out at break even. But if you see here, we got bullish hidden divergence. So, I got in again just to go and break this top. I'm still in it in case it does give us that larger, maybe just slow start, So I am in it. More than likely, it will give take me out again at break even and possibly give another lower low. But yeah, I'm only looking for the buys, only looking for the buys in here for an X2 and then the Z down, and then we'll look for that trend line break correction, and then we'll look for that larger C up to go and break this top. GY on the daily. So we're looking at that WXY, X2 and the Z up. First target's been hit at that 123.6 and the second target is at 161.8. On the H4, last week we were in here somewhere. We just breached that 200. And I said, the next target is at 250. Well, it's bounced off that 250 now. And we're looking for a WXY, X2, and then the Z up, like I showed last week. So we're finally starting to get that X2, this one here. So I can take this off and draw the fib here, where we want to see. I want to get it down to that 38.2. So whether you want to, if you get little flags in here, you may want to sell it, down to that 38.2, but be very careful because we've already crossed down here. And more than likely we will get bull hidden here before we get that Z up. So it's really only scalping. If you do get a little bearish setup in here, yeah, you can look for it, but you have to be it's more scalping because you're trading a correction. So you're trading in a correction here before you get a Z up. The safest option is to wait to see what happens in here because this is more than likely going to be choppy. Draw your trend line, wait for the break, look for a bullish setup, and then trade that Z up. That's a safer option. EG on the daily. This is a little bit more complex, like I showed last week. Looking at W, X, Y, X2, and the Z down. We've hit that first target, the 123.6. But like I showed here, I was looking at W, X, Y, X2, and then a Z down here to finish off this move. And we never got to that 123.6 target. in this wave down, and then we got that 3 up. So that's why I was looking at that as a flat in here. If I just remove all that, we're looking at that as a flat in here for a WXY X2, because these two corrections here are a similar size. So we're looking for that Z down. Second target is at 161.8 on the H4. You can really only look for buys. You can see that it's bounced clean off that 123.6 daily. It's difficult because we don't have any bullish divergence. This is just one wave. So more than likely we'll get a correction in here and give us another one down to that 61.8. I dare say that's what's going to happen. So if you are buying this, you really have to be a bit careful, because more than likely it's just a correction. And you just be aiming for that 50 fib. You only be targeting that 50 fib. But I don't really want to sell this. This is at a low, you know, and this wave Z, daily wave Z can be over at any time. You know, it may be ended here. So if you do get a buy setup on the H1, you can look to buy, but definitely be a break even at that 50 fib, and I'd even take half off at that 50 fib, because you know we got a nice impulse down, and on the H4 we got a lower low, so you can only look for sells. So we're looking for a correction and then another one down, because we don't have any bullish divergence. On the H1, as you can see, it's found a lot of resistance at that 123.6, the first target. And yeah, if you get a little bullish flag in here, look for it, look for the buy. Gold on the daily. So we had that possible bear hidden here, and we're looking for a WXY X2 and then a Z down to go and break this low. The problem was we got 3 waves down in here and it didn't break this low. So we had to look at it as an A, B, and we'll get that C up to the 100 fib. We got a nice impulse up here, breaking the trend line, and I was just looking for that, you know, correction in here to go up to that 100 fib. Instead, we got a really large correction in here, like I've been showing for quite some time. So that's why on the H4 it is a little bit difficult, because this is looking rather corrective. So I'm looking at an A, B, C in the B wave, and then the C up. That's the sort of way I'm looking at it. Last week we were looking at the buy, because you know we had that bull hidden here, so we were looking for that to go and break the top. Now we have the bearish divergence, so if you do get a sell set up on it, you can look for the sell, and you just be targeting that A, B, C. You just be targeting that 100 fib. So if you do get a sell set up, we do have the bearish divergence this week. So yeah, look for the sell. This may keep on, you know, going up here, breaking that top, and it still be at like a running flat. So then you get another one down here for a running flat or expanding flat before you get that A, B, C. I'm looking at this as a B wave because it's so choppy. So yeah, if you get a sell set up, wait for the break of the trend line, little flag or something to sell, and then look for the sell. WTI on the daily, we're looking for this. When I filtered this out, like I explained a few weeks ago, we got WXY X2, and we're looking for that Z up. It's hit the first target, and the second target is at 161.8. It's nearly at that second target. We don't, H4, we're looking at that W, X, Y, X2, and then a Z up. So we're looking for that X2 to finish off this wave Z. You really have to wait for the correction. If you don't wait for that correction, you know, so you'll just put these on wherever this wave ends. There's nothing to say this wave Y here hadn't ended yet. But wherever this wave Y ends, you want to wait for the correction back down to this trend line, and then you could trade that Z up. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be buying up the top here. You need to wait for a correction. It's just too dangerous. We're in a wave Z on the daily, so you know we have a trend up in here on the H1. You can see all the bearish divergence here. You know, you want to wait, trend line break and a flag, and look for the sell. I'm not looking for the buys. Bitcoin on the daily, like I said last week, you know, we did have that possible bear hidden here. And I said, if this was going to go, it would have went here to break that low. Instead, it gave us 3 down, like I've showed the last couple of weeks. On the H4, we got this looking at W, X, Y, X2, and we're looking for that Z up. Well, it's blown past both targets, the 123.6 and the 161.8. It's blowing straight through them, and we don't have any bearish divergence. So sort of looking for a 50 fib retrace. So if we go down to the H1, like I showed last week, we're looking for W, X, Y, X2, and then the Z up, and the Z went even further. Like I showed last week, you know, this was still looking very much bullish, and we did get another one up, and now we do have the bear divergence. This was your trade in here to sell. We had the bearish divergence. So this was your trend line in here, and you got a bearish flag here. If you get another little bearish flag in here, you know, you can look for the sell down to this. I'd be first targeting that 50 fib, because this here is very impulsive. So we're looking for a larger correction, you know, some sort of A, B, C. SPX on the daily, again, like I've been pointing out, we had that bull hidden here, and I said more than likely we'll go and break that top. We got that bull hidden, you know. Even though it's not valid to trade, sometimes they still do go and break the tops with the hidden divergence. Eventually, you're looking for a larger correction back to the 50 fib on the daily. Looking at the H4, we broke past this 100 fib last week, and I was just looking for that A, B, C up to that 100 fib, and then possibly give a C down. But we broke through it last week, like I showed. So now, if I just remove this, so we got it. So you're looking for that W, X, Y, X, Z. You need to wait for your correction in here, and then trade that Z up. It's at a high, it's broken the top, very risky. You definitely need to wait for some sort of a correction and then a buy set up to buy this. I'm more interested in the sells. we're at a high. AU 200 on the daily. Again, we've got all this bearish divergence. You definitely don't want to be buying, we got a lower low on this one. Sorry, we've got a bull hidden like I've showed. We've got a possible bull hidden, so maybe this will be the same as S&P and we go and break that top. It is definitely possible, and then we will get even more bearish divergence, and then we'll be looking for the sell. I won't be looking for the buy on this. It's just too high. On the H4, we're looking at that A, B, C up to the 100 fib. I think we were down in here last week, and it's gone up and hit that 100 fib. So it was very close to that 100 fib. I'd be taking, at least half off if you're in this buy. But yeah, I'm just waiting on this for a sell setup. Basically, it's just too high to be risking to buy it. Looking at the FTSE, the DAX on the daily. Again, we have all this bearish divergence. Very risky. This one here is a little bit different because this one here we do have the lower low. Looking at the H4, we're looking for this 100 fib in here. We're looking at A, B, C up to this 100 fib. It's hit that 100 fib. And we do have a possible bear hidden here. So it is possible that we get that A, B, C down. Only really looking for sells. All the bearish divergence on the daily is just way too risky to be buying this, unless you're just scalping. The buys are only scalps. Like last week, we were just scalping that Z up. So we were looking last week at that like WXY. Thought it might have got up to that 123.6 before it gave the correction. Instead, it gave the correction at the start of the week. So we got X2 here. And then we got the Z up. We're getting that Z up. It's broken the top. So if you're in this trade, and you can, you can trade it, but you just have to be very careful. So we're looking at that 123.6 and the 161.8 as your targets. If I just remove that. So it's nearly there, it's nearly at the 123.6. If you do get if you want to scalp it, you can. Just be very careful. There's more than right. I'm more interested in the sell. So whatever happens here, waiting for the trend line break and a sell set up to sell. Looking at the FTSE on the daily. Again, I was looking for that A, B, C. We never got that C down. It didn't go far enough. It didn't go far enough here, and it never went far enough there. So looking for that A, B, C up in here on the H4, up to that 100 fib. We go down to the H4. So we're looking for that A, B, C. It's still looking very bullish. Very risky to be buying though. We got the 100 fib right here. We don't have any bearish divergence. So you can scalp it, but you're only scalping. I'm more interested in the sell, like the other indices. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. Share, subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you liked it, and enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you out there next week.